Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live from the Teaching Kitchen located here on the third floor of Hillman Cancer Center, and we are so glad to have you here with us today. My name is Danielle Petrina. I'm the project manager for the Integrative Oncology Program and Angela's assistant. I just got promoted. This is Angela Zaccanini, our lifestyle dietitian. So we are so excited to start cooking for cancer classes and really bring this to your home. Whether you're a patient or a caregiver, you matter, and we just want to help you through this process as food is so important. So I'm going to kick this off to Ange. Go ahead, Ange.
Okay. So today our recipe is beans and greens, which I'm sure maybe you have made this at home. There's many variations of this particular recipe, but as a lifestyle dietitian, we do encourage a predominantly plant-based diet. So that doesn't mean necessarily becoming vegan or vegetarian by any means, but really increasing your intake of plant-based proteins and choosing more of these options that don't require meat. So maybe making a meatless Monday or doing something that just has more beans, nuts, seeds, experimenting with tofu. So we're going to do all of that. And today we're going to show you that quick beans and greens recipe. We have a little side dish to have for more carbs,
Yes.
which we love,
Full
Italians.
disclosure, and Ange and I are very Italian.
Yes.
So we really enjoy the carbs, and any way we can put that into a meal, we look for it.
Yes. Okay, so this recipe actually calls for escarole, which we used kale and we used it already in the container, triple washed. Again, we're Italian, we like carbs, but we also love convenience.
Yes.
So we use this as something easy. We don't have to wash, we don't have to cut, chop, anything. It's already in a consistency and the size that we like so that we don't have to do any chopping. So to kick us off, we're going to start our induction stovetop. So of course you don't have an induction stovetop at home. Well, maybe you do. I shouldn't assume. But everybody usually has like an electric or a gas stovetop. This is induction, so you need an induction pan or pot to actually have the stovetop work. It's almost like this magnetic connection. So we're going to get that started at like medium high heat. And you can do this at home on your stove. And we are going to start it off with 3 tablespoons of olive oil, get it heated up in the pan. What's interesting about the stovetop too, it will not start unless the fan is on. So there's just a few little things that need to take place prior to actually starting. Okay. Then we're going to add a little bit of garlic. This particular recipe calls for whole garlic cloves and to actually throw them all in the pan while the oil is getting hot. But we, again, convenience, we're using the pre-minced garlic. I have these always at home in the fridge. We have a ton in our pantry for when we run out. But we're gonna throw maybe a tablespoon of garlic. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. And just a little bit about where we've been shopping at. So we've been kind of going between Whole Foods and Aldi. And it's been working really well. So we just want to make sure that we are finding things that are affordable, things that are affordable at both places. The baby kale was provided by Whole Foods, but I do know that you can find clean chopped bags of kale at Aldi as well.
Yes.
So the difference though, those have stems in it. We didn't really want stems. These did not. I think each box here was about $3.50. So not really bad on the price.
Yeah, I mean, John Eagle, they're $3.99 too.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you just get some gas perks if you're using
It's true.
it. Right now,
This is
you kind of
true.
need that.
yeah,
So
yeah. Can I use
that's different.
another one of those big spoons, please? Okay, so again, we're kind of making some variations, alterations to this particular diet because there is so many ways you can make beans and greens.
So we're getting used to our new kitchen. We try to make this a kitchen that it's, at your home, but this is obviously built within a hospital. So there's just some things like the oven that bakes things at a 360-degree angle, so it just
Yeah.
rotates it. So it's pretty cool. Not angle, but rotation. Sorry, go ahead, Ange.
So the garlic and the onion, or the garlic and the olive oil is cooking, getting warm. We're gonna add onion to this recipe. I prefer onion in my beans and greens.
Yes.
I mean, like, you just have to have it. It's giving it more flavor, more texture. And I'm just gonna throw a few tablespoons in, maybe even more. So this is, we chopped and cut a whole onion prior to, so I'm gonna say about half of the onion.
Just a yellow onion, right, Ange?
Yes. Mhm.
I mean, should we just throw it all in?
You think all of it? A whole
Yeah.
onion?
I think so.
She wants the whole onion, everybody.
You know, depending on your,
Might as well, you know?
it's not like you're eating them for lunch, so.
Thank you. Okay, so we're just gonna mix that all up till it's nice and warm. And you'll notice the onions become like a clear, almost transparent. The garlic will brown, but you do not want it to get burnt, because then you'll have to clear the pot, start all over, and it's just a whole big mess. So we're gonna just lower the heat just a little bit to make sure that it's not gonna get burnt.
Burning garlic is the worst.
It doesn't smell good.
No, you have to start all over.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna add to the pot is crushed red pepper, and we like it spicy, but depending on what your spice level is, you can omit the red pepper or add as much or as little as you want. So I'm just gonna put like, last time I made it pretty spicy,
Yeah,
so just a little bit to coat the top. Okay,
it's great.
smelling good over here. Yes. Just mixing that up. Okay. So we're gonna wait a little bit out. While that's cooking, the next steps for the recipe are gonna be to add the greens, to add the cannellini beans, and then to add some chicken broth.
Okay,
So if you wanted this to be more plant-based, you can use a vegetable broth to just kind of avoid that meat. So that's gonna be next. And the recipe calls for 1 to 2 cans of 14 and a half servings of the chicken broth. So we purchased a low sodium, 75% less sodium chicken broth. If you're watching your sodium, again, try to choose a lower sodium option. But this is a total of 32 ounces. And depending on if you want your beans and greens to be a little bit more brothy versus more thick, this will vary as well. So 1 can, we're gonna start with like 8 ounces or 2 cups, so about 16 ounces, and then we can titrate up from there. So depending on what the
the
consistency
good thing is
want
you won't ruin it. If you
No
put more
way.
in, you're not gonna like water down the flavor.
Exactly. So we already opened up the cans, and the recipe calls for 2 cans, 14 and a half ounce cannellini beans. And we like to rinse them, drain them, put them in a colander, have them sit so the water gets, all out of that. And then we'll add that all at once. So that's going to be the greens, the beans, and the chicken broth all at once.
This is such an easy,
Oh
fast
gosh.
meal. It's ridiculous.
It
And so
is.
if you're looking for something a little bit more convenient, I think it's just fast, like on a Monday night
Oh
when
my
everything
gosh.
seems to collide.
Yep.
I think it's a really good recipe. And do you want to talk about our bread at all?
Yes, so we're gonna make the bread when everything's cooking and simmering with the lid on top, but we make our little homemade breadsticks using naan. And if you're looking for more fiber, using a whole grain option, whole wheat option, I'll show you how we make it in a few minutes, but you can see here, we have these cute little breadsticks to pair with our beans and greens. So we're gonna just mix this up. It's starting to get pretty clear and transparent. Danielle, do you wanna grab the beans?
Ma'am. You want to put them in?
You toss them in. And I'm just gonna pour the chicken broth. 1 cup. Gonna add another cup. Okay. Mix that a little bit more, just so everything gets coated. We're gonna turn up the heat just a little bit more. since we have liquid in there now, not gonna worry too much about burning.
I love these beans. Can you
They're the
talk a little
best.
bit more about these beans?
Yes, so beans are a wonderful plant-based protein. They're packed with fiber. The greens, in addition to the beans, it's gonna give you a good source of iron as well. We're having vitamin K. I mean, the amount of vitamins and minerals in this recipe is top tier. And again, you can add, like, if you wanted to add tomatoes or some other sort of vegetable, you could totally do that. If you wanted to use a different green, if you like spinach or the escarole instead, again, that is your choice. So we're gonna just pop in the greens. Now, the beans, actually, they call for 2 cans. We added a third.
Yeah.
We wanted to increase the protein, we wanted to increase the fiber. And, you know, sometimes if it's more greens than beans, it's not gonna be as filling. And that's too why we pair it with the little breadsticks, because we wanna feel full after this meal and not have to go pick and grab something else afterwards.
I think I like this too because you know how like some meals feel better in the winter time.
Yes.
This is like one of those ones, you can have it in summer or winter, it feels pretty good either way.
So with even just one container, the pocket's pretty full. So you're gonna want it to cook down for a little bit until it gets pretty diluted.
I really like this kale. We were using
Yeah,
the
tell me
bags
about that.
before that had the stem. So I mean, I think it's okay in this recipe because you're cooking it down, but if you're adding it into a salad, that could be a bit crunchy. And kale's a pretty, you know, you have to have a taste for it. It's crunchy, it's bitter, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just mixing that all in so that the kale gets coated, the chicken broth gets, you know, thoroughly through everything in the pot. I'm gonna put the lid on it so it cooks down a little bit quicker. Get that steam going. Can you toss that for me? Do you mind grabbing me the bacon sheets and the naan bread? Okay. I'm gonna show you quickly how we make the breadsticks.
So this oven is crazy. It cooks things very fast. So for example, we do a lot of this in my home with naan bread and pizzas. I would say that they
Yes.
take anywhere from like 18 to 20 minutes on about 425 to cook. This will cook these. Now again, it's not as crispy as pizza, but it's more of a breadstick consistency. About a minute 45 it takes in this, because this oven will heat up to about 600 degrees. So at home, I would say 425, about 10 minutes, would you say, Ange?
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Olive oil.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so have the naan. I'm gonna just drizzle a little bit of olive oil on. I'm not measuring, so just when you notice it's coating the entire naan bread, you just rub it in. And if you had a brush, this would be a good place to use a brush. We are still waiting for ours.
Yes.
So just using the back of the spoon to kind of coat the entire bread. And then I'm going to add a little bit more of our minced garlic.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, that would make me nervous. I would like have to do the powder form, like garlic.
Really?
garlic powder. Yeah, I would feel like I couldn't spread it out evenly enough.
It, again, if you had a brush,
Yeah. you
This
can
would
do
be
it,
a lot
but you're
easier.
fine. I mean,
yeah.
that's great. Can't wait to try. I think I had like 10 pieces per usual.
Yeah, I had to tell her to stop.
I know, she's like, can you stop? I was like, oh, I didn't know we were displaying. I thought you were practicing, so.
Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of Italian seasoning. So this is just mixed dried herbs. Oregano, parsley, rosemary, thyme. Okay, and then going to top it off. Thank you.
Yep.
Top it off with Parmesan cheese. Now, we've made these before with like fresh mozzarella. You can use a different sort of cheese, whatever you're feeling. We have some shredded Parmesan over there if you wanted something more thick, but we like the grated Parmesan to add to it. And I'm gonna throw this in the oven. Let's do a tempura. See how it spins?
little bit of a spaceship that we're getting
It
used
really
to.
is. Okay. So we're just gonna put that in for a minute. And it's probably gonna need a little bit more than a minute to get to that consistency that we want, but I get intimidated about the oven, so I have to just keep it.
We all are slightly intimidated by that. So, wow, Ange, that looks great. I feel like you could turn it up,
I
right?
was gonna say, it needs to be.
But you know, don't, turn it up to the millionth mark and then let's burn it.
This scale is so much better than the one we used the first time.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to taste it and see if we notice a
There's a
price
difference,
difference.
yeah. And the stems that are in here, I mean, the other one that we had thicker stems, and you're just getting more fiber,
Yeah.
you know, like, it's probably gonna go right through you, to be
Yeah.
honest. But we want that, and honestly, you know, if you're increasing your diet of more plant-based things, you also wanna increase your water intake. I think water and fiber, like, there's no other combination, they go hand in hand. If you don't, you're gonna feel constipated, full, uncomfortable, and the fiber-rich foods just need some more fluid to keep everything moving properly.
Water intake's hard.
And to be honest, I feel like patients going through active treatment, they struggle to get enough water. Water tastes weird. You know, they don't want to eat, they don't want to drink. So I always, you know, really encourage adequate fluid intake. And, you know, if you're having trouble drinking just plain water, fruit infused water, herbal infused waters, the carbonated waters now
Yeah.
that don't have any added sugars, you know, there's many alternatives. And other fluids contribute as well. So if you're doing juice, if you're using broth, if you're, you know, having Jello or some other liquid-based food, it is going to contribute to your fluids as well. Tea, coffee, all of those decaf. Yeah, that's
I was like ready to be like, woohoo, I
Yeah.
have my water intake's been really high then.
right. Okay, let's pull this
sorry.
out, see what, no,
You
you're
could
good.
have ahead of the game.
Can I have that, maybe some more time?
I think we're gonna need 45.
Oh, no, whoa.
Yeah, hello.
Okay.
Stop.
Gotta wait till it spins all the way.
We have burn marks to show.
Yeah, no, seriously. Okay, so
Cool.
as you can see, I'll pull it up closer. Nice crispy edges, not burnt.
Yeah.
And what we do after this is we're just gonna cut it with a pizza slicer, and make them into thin little breadsticks. How's that looking, Dee?
Oh, it looks good.
Mix
I'm
it up
telling
for
you,
us.
I feel like that, I feel like this kale is gonna change the game. I think you need to turn it up a bit, because it's not wilting as
Going quick
fast.
as-
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, checking in.
No.
She's the boss.
But another thing about this gets hot so quickly, like sometimes when you're cooking at home, it takes forever for water to boil, it takes forever, like so long for everything to heat up, so we're cooking things at just such a faster time frame and capacity that you would at home. So keep that in mind, because this may take a little bit longer at home, like it's been, what, 25 minutes?
Not even.
Yeah.
All right, so this, yeah, so let's think, if we're talking about meatless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, so you got that. So anything that you would be missing from a protein that you're not getting in this meal, Ange?
So the beans are gonna provide protein, they're giving you complex carbs because they contain fiber. So really, you're getting a well-balanced meal here. You know, you're not lacking anything. And like I said, you wanna feel full, but the amount of fiber in this meal is going to make you feel full. Now, going back into the plant-based options, like I said, you don't need to become vegan or vegetarian. But if you have a high intake of red meats, processed meats, we definitely want to limit that, especially with the cancer diagnosis and overall healthy eating in general. Like Danielle and I should probably cut out the steak a little bit, you know?
I know, we've been talking about that.
Yeah.
You know,
So for red meat, the recommendation is 18 ounces or less per week. And that's red meat specifically. So that's beef, lamb, and pork.
okay.
I always say anything with 4 legs. And 18 ounces or less. So if you break that down into serving sizes, one serving of red meat is about 3 ounces, which could be the size of like my fist or my palm. So very small, but that breaks it down into 6 servings per week.
Yeah.
So that's quite a large intake of red meat. And then that doesn't include our poultry, our chicken, our turkey, and our fish. So those can also, you can get a variety of protein sources, but then cut out the red meat. I was talking to a patient and, bacon for breakfast, a roast beef sandwich for lunch, steak for dinner. So you could even get red meat 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And then not even realize, the amount of portion of red meat that you're consuming. And when I say processed meat, I'm talking like lunch meats, hot dogs, sausage, things like that. A lot of additives, a lot of sodium. And we definitely want to limit those. And I wouldn't say the word avoid because I don't think that's realistic or necessary. But definitely limit that intake, focusing on our lean protein sources, cutting out red meat as much as possible, and then focusing more on these plant-based options.
Yes. So, and like vegan's a big thing,
Yeah.
right? You hear a lot of people going vegan.
Yes.
How important or not important is that to a cancer patient?
Yeah. So again, that's where I say, depending on what you're currently eating. So say you do eat over 18 ounces of red meat per week, and then you're gonna tell me that you wanna go vegan. I don't think it's realistic
Yeah.
or sustainable. I have patients that will talk to me and they're like, okay, Monday morning I'm going vegan. And I'm like, okay, well, let's take a step back. How about we just incorporate one plant-based meal in a week?
Yeah.
Or, so starting small, and I don't really necessarily encourage completely vegan. I feel like that could limit the amount of protein
Agree.
we're getting. And also, I feel like, wow, this is.
No, that
This
was
is
really boiling in 5 seconds, so.
So we up that, should I
That's
add more
great.
greens?
Yeah, probably. And I would keep it at that temperature, but I think it's gonna take a minute. I feel like it took a little bit.
Yeah,
at
it
that
did.
temperature.
So we're gonna add just one more container of greens. But so I have a lot of patients who are already vegan and talk to me, and they just want to know if they're getting an adequate diet, and what they may be lacking. When you're vegan, you don't get any B12.
Okay.
So dairy and meat is what contains B12. So vegan patients definitely have to supplement with B12.
So how are you taking a supplement or are you taking a vitamin then at that point?
Yes, you're
Okay.
taking a vitamin B12 supplement.
And what kind of vitamins do you recommend if somebody is vegan? But there's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah,
And Amazon Prime is lovely, but sometimes you can't get the right kind. I brought Ange in my vitamins and she was like, no, these aren't good vitamins. I was like, good, I just spent $30 on them.
That's
What-
the thing.
What else should I do?
They can definitely be a money pit. And the things to look for dietary supplements are third-party reviewers, which means that the company literally paid a third party to review their supplements and to make sure that it's actually what it claims to be.
Okay.
So those 2 labels on the bottle, one is going to be USP, which stands for United States Pharmacopoeia, and the second one is NSF, which stands for the National Sanitation Foundation. So those are 2 third-party reviewers that you want to see either or, and it'll have a label just like if you were looking for something that was organic. It'll say USP verified or NSF verified right on the bottle. And that's definitely something to look for. For all patients, I feel like a multivitamin is a good option because it bridges any gap to something they may be lacking in their diet.
Okay.
So say that, there's a week after treatment that they're not eating well. Their appetite's down, they're nauseated. So if they're eating just a little bit, they're taking a nutritional shake or something like that, their multivitamin is helping to provide those vitamins and minerals. So there's no potential deficiency and they're still getting some good nutrition per
Yeah.
se. But I always encourage food first,
Absolutely.
always,
Absolutely.
And Dr. Francis and I were talking about this because patients always ask, what supplement should I take to prevent a recurrence? Or what vitamin should I take just across the board? And we always say food first, but the reason being is because supplements are processed too.
Right.
You know, like patients want the best diet for their cancer, which is completely understandable. It's something that you can control. But I also think people want a quick fix or something to help, like a medication. And a dietary supplement should not be an alternative to a healthy diet.
Yeah.
So going back to patients that are vegan, the B12 is definitely something they can take, and they may become deficient in iron. Because iron is most readily absorbed from our meat. There is iron in plant-based options, especially dark leafy greens. However, to best absorb it, you want to pair it with vitamin C.
Okay,
And that's what a lot of people don't know. Yeah. So
that's a big point.
that is huge.
Yeah.
And some people that do know that end up starting supplementing with vitamin C or doing some more citrus in their diet, maybe drinking a glass of orange juice with their salad or their greens or something to get that pairing. So it's food synergy. Things work better with something else. So that's just something to consider. So let's show them, well, should we add some
Yeah,
Parmesan
so you
cheese?
can always add parm. We're always gonna add parm and a breadstick. But I'll walk this up so you guys so you can kind of see what this looks like here.
And here's just one without the cheese.
So,
So you can see all the colors, all the greens, all the onions. Now, again, if you're trying to go completely plant-based, eliminate the dairy, you're not gonna add the cheese.
Right,
You know,
yes.
this would be your option. And as you can see, ours is not that broth-based.
no, not at all. Well, once we add it, the beans really absorb that fast.
Yes.
So that was if you're not a broth-based person, then that's the way to do it.
yeah.
So Ange, does this conclude the cooking part of it? We can take some question and answers. So
Yes.
if you are watching this, we're gonna actually stop our recording and end here. We hope you join us again. These are every Friday from 2 to 3. We are doing virtual and in person. So whatever way is convenient for you, we'd love to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm just gonna stop our recording, hang on to the participants. We can answer any questions for you.